Hey guys, SpicySoap back again with another episode of Space Engineers on BetterGamerOfficial. And in today's episode, we are going to try and fuel up the rocket, which, if you've been watching the previous episodes, you'll know that we've been working on this for about 4 or 5 videos, and it's finally built, but we need to fuel it up and everything. So, first things first, I need to figure out a way of drilling a bunch of ice, because what I can do is I can break down the ice into oxygen and hydrogen, which I'm gonna have to fit onto here somehow. So, what I'm thinking we do is we make good use of our little rover over here, which is for some reason called Scuttler instead of rover. And my idea is to fit a drill onto the back of this thing, which spins around and just drills a sort of ring around the vehicle. Because that gives us plenty of opportunity to get ice and fuel up the rocket, but it also helps as just a general drill for wherever we want to go if we're drilling just general surface level stuff. So, what I'm thinking is we can take this connector off here. My audio levels seem very off here, so I'm going to turn down game audio, because otherwise you guys are not going to have a good time. Okay, that should be better. So we take off this connector. What I'm thinking is we can actually put a rotor in here and it would fit quite well. So, let's get an advanced rotor. Like that. Okay, cool, so that's an advanced rotor. And my idea is to simply connect a rotor here, because we can then transfer items between it, but also use it to spin a drill around the car, which is arguably important for a drill. Okay, so that's a rotor fitted. What my next idea is to simply add a conveyor junction to convert the conveyors from large conveyors to small conveyors, which is a very simple job. I just need to chuck down a single junction, which requires me going like this, simple as. So that's that. I just need to get the resources for it. So let's get a conveyor junction. We're going to want to start using small pipes, which is something I wouldn't normally do, but we have to use it for this kind of application. So, let's fit one of these, like that, and then we're going to put small conveyors on it, and that's going to span out, and then once we've got the small conveyors in place, we can actually just use a drill. So, my idea is, because of the way this works and because of the space restrictions of our lift, we can't really put much at the front or at the back of the lift. So I'm thinking we can actually fit another rotor here, which will like turn the drill up or down. So we can then have the drill that sits on top of the car here, just out the way. But we can then have it rotate over here, and it would be, in theory, drilling into the ground, which is not the case because we're up on the station. But that's the basic concept behind the drill idea I've got. So then we can add another rotor here. And the idea is, all of these are going to just make a sort of swing arm, which means we can put the drill wherever on the vehicle we want it to be pointed. And in its neutral position it should be sat over here at the front. So it's going to be a little awkward to control at first, but once you get used to it, it's going to be pretty good. Okay, so cool, all we need to do now here is put a drill on a pipe here, which I'm actually thinking I'm going to use pistons for so we can extend it about a bit. So let's get 2 pistons, and we're going to fit those onto it, because that gives us a lot more flexibility with where the drill is going to be sat. Because I can now put piston here and piston on here, weld these together, and the idea is our drill just hovers above the vehicle until we need it. Okay, so that's the basic drill build. So all I need to do now is reorient this, which shouldn't be too awkward. Because of the way I've designed this, I can just get it to sort of slot down the side of the vehicle out of the way. So right now it obviously looks very messy, but if I was to unpark the vehicle just a little bit, you'll notice how those rotors have just moved, have they? Ah, so the rotors have now moved, and the drill is somewhat out of the way. Not sure why the rotors moved right there, but apparently they did. Oh, I know what happened. The battery is set to recharge from the previous episode. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna add a button for that so then we can toggle that. Then we also need to get the rotors. So, let's get the rotor for direction, and then the rotor for height. Okay, so the idea is I'm going to get these all back to 0. So I need to put braking torque on these as well, or otherwise they're just going to spin out as soon as I turn them off. Which is obviously a problem, because it just drops the drill. And then what I can essentially do is position it wherever I need it to go, which I'm thinking I can put it about here, and just tuck it down the side of the vehicle in this little gap right here. So the idea is, I can put it out the way, just between these two wheels, and it should pack away quite nicely. So actually I'm going to need to bring back the rotor displacement so they're as close to the body of the vehicle as possible. And then the next plan is to just drive out to the lake and get a bunch of ice. So let's get that done. With this thing, I don't know if I want to trust I don't know if I want to trust the lift with this thing. So we're going to drive down the half remaining ramp, and then we're going to see if we can make it under the station with this thing without having to pop it down, because putting it down is a little bit effort-like, and I don't agree. Okay, so we've made it down to the ice lake, so what my next plan is to park this thing up, and actually get a hotbar for the buttons. So what I can do is I can go onto a second hotbar, and I can get the rotors. So let's get a direction rotor on-off button and a reverse button. And then let's get a height rotor button for on and rotation direction. And then the idea behind this is I can have a predefined speed in here. So let's just set this to 2 RPM on each of these rotors. So set 2 RPM. Then the idea is I can rotate each of them with these buttons. So then I can turn the drill to where I need it to be. So then once it's back here, for example, I can simply use this rotor and point it into the ground. And it's at this point at which I need to use the drill, so I need to map that button up as well. But, as a general concept, this works. I just need to figure out which pistons are which is probably going to be a trial and error kind of thing. Okay, so we've got the drill to work. Now I just need to strengthen the suspensions on this car, because otherwise it's just going to sink into the ground. So what I need to do is I need to set all of the wheels as the highest position, so that then we're not buried into the ground. That's their lowest position. So we need to just set these as high as they go, and then we should be able to, in theory, just start drilling. So now the wheels are raised up. I'm going to add a bit of strength to them, because otherwise, again, we're going to just go to the bottom of the suspension. So let's add strengths here, and then what we can do is we can turn on the drill, and we can actually start to push down for ice. Well, it's looking it looks like we've done a pretty good job of drilling this time. So, let's pack the drill away, and let's head back to base. So it looks like the rover managed to catch the drill a little bit, but we've managed to recover it. So, let's just put the drill back down a little bit, extend out this piston, and park it about here. So, this is plenty out of the way, but it also can fit quite easily onto our ramp now. So all I need to do is line this up with the ramp, reverse onto here. I'm going to have to pull around here and reverse onto the parking bay, because the connector is on the back and we have a lot of stuff to get off of this thing. Okay, so that's now parked up. So the drill fits nice and out the way. It's not as out the way as I would like it to be, but it works. And now we're offloading ice into the station so it can be processed into hydrogen. So, let's hop over to here and check what the hydrogen generators are up to. There we go, so the hydrogen generators are actually taking in ice, and in theory processing it, provided that they're turned on. Looks like they're turned on, but also, with the amount of ice we're going to need to process to fill this thing, I think I'm probably going to need to put in some sort of facility on the station to produce a lot of hydrogen. And there is a lot of spare area over here, so if I pop this door open, you might recognize this if you've played Space Engineers before. It's just a basic room on Space Engineers Earth Survival. And yeah, there's plenty of spare space in which I don't use, but I could easily fill this with hydrogen-oxygen generators and plumb it into this connector, which is just hidden underneath this air vent here. So, I think I'm going to make some sort of facility under here, which is then going to allow me to produce a lot more hydrogen a lot faster. So, I say we do that. Okay, so we got 2 more of these generators on board the station. I'm thinking I could put another 2 on this side, but we're struggling for resources really, for 1, and 2, this should be enough to get the basic job done. So I'm going to take out this bit of roof here because it gets in the way. And then what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to find a way of adding more into this area at a later point. But that's probably not going to happen now, and it looks like we've actually just broken the roof a little bit. So we're just going to put that back and pretend we didn't do that. Because I do prefer to keep the roof intact. I don't know if that's a popular opinion, but I would rather have my roof intact. So, I've done that. That's all patched up again. So it seems like we can't take out that block. Which means we I think we should be good, apart from taking out that block. Yeah, that works. So we still have an access point to run cargo across the room from there. So that works. And to be perfectly honest, I don't understand why they put this hangar in here, to be honest, because it's very small. Like, can you imagine me trying to park any of these things in there? Especially the rover, because there's a ramp going up to it to suggest that we want to put a rover up there. But I would never even think to put a rover in here because it's so small. But then, the game devs do what the game devs do, and I'm not going to blame them for that because they did a very good job of this game. But yeah, that's our drill setup working for the car. I'm thinking I'm probably going to do a little bit of off-camera drilling because drilling on camera is very boring, I will admit that. But if we just check up on the ice, we've still got a lot of ice to go through, so possibly going to just AFK that out, and yeah, that is the drill setup working. So the next thing I want to do is probably... Oh yeah, that's another thing. In last episode, I actually intentionally forgot to put bottom thrusters on this thing, to see if you guys were going to tell me, and looking in the comments, nobody's pointed out yet that there's no upward thrusters. So, it looks like you were all planning on letting me float through space endlessly. So, I'm going to patch that up, just by cutting off these bits here, because I can easily put upwards thrusters off of here. But, I'm a little bit disappointed because I was expecting someone to point out that I was going to just float through space. Okay, cool, so we've emptied out an area. Now all I need to do is put upwards thrusters onto it. Alright, cool, so we've now got upwards facing thrusters, but they look pretty naff. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually redecorate the vehicle a little bit up in these bits. Which is not too hard to do actually with the shape of this. All I'd need to do is work with some different shaped blocks, so for example go for a more sharp turn over here. Because we've got to account for the fact that there's a connector here, and make it look a bit better. This looks like a pretty nice design, and it fits quite well in line with this, so I'm going to probably put that on all different thrusters. And then, actually we could probably give this a paint job, because it's not got a paint job and it's looking a little bit vanilla, which I don't like. So, I'm going to give it a paint job, and it's going to look a lot better, in theory. And that is the rocket painted. I would say we've done a very good job. Apart from that spot that I've just missed. I painted it wrong. Apart from the spot that I missed over here, we've done a pretty good job of decorating. So, that looks like it's going to be the rocket for this episode. And that looks like it's probably going to be the episode in general, because we have unfortunately run out of time. But, we've made big progress by adding a drill to the rover, which means we can go and get ice from all the way over there. We've given the rocket a paint job, and we've also built a little bit of a facility inside of the station just over here, where we can then sort of turn the ice into hydrogen. And then once the hydrogen is made, we fill this thing up, and we go. So, I'm going to hope we manage to do that by episode 10, but I'm not going to rush it because that would be a very big waste of our efforts. But yeah, today's episode has been successful. This has been SpicySoap, and I'm out on this one.